back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Karen, just as you can see in my channel, and I am a Mexican who lives in the Netherlands, and I have been living here for quite some years already. To be exact, five years in a row. 6 if you count the year that I lived here and went back. But anyway, let's just say I live here for 5 years, and in this channel I just make videos about my experience, and this is one of those videos. So in this video I want to talk about things that I started doing when I moved to the Netherlands, or you can say things that only make sense to do when you live in the Netherlands. So if you're curious, then keep on watching. So the first thing that I started doing when I moved to the Netherlands was to be so aware of the weather, and therefore speak about the weather every day, every hour. Oh my god. When I lived in Mexico, I lived in Cancun. That's where I was born and where I lived my whole entire life, up to the point where when I moved for the first time to the Netherlands, which was when I was 18. So there basically it's all year long warm and sunny, and of course we do have some rain because hurricane season, you know. But when it's raining and windy and cloudy, it's like, oh my god, finally cozy sweater weather, and you know, everyone's so happy that it's actually a little bit warmer, I mean colder and less sunny. And by colder I mean 28 degrees instead of 37 degrees. So pretty warm still, but you know, cold for Cancun standards. So when I moved to the Netherlands, it was my first time ever, was late October. Back then it was not so cold, not so wet. Also for October it was pretty dry and sunny. So but slowly I started to realize, oh my god, the winter is coming, and you know, it's getting gray and it's getting so dark and it's getting so wet and it's getting so windy. And now I talk about weather so much all the time. It's like, oh my god, look, it's windy. Oh my god, it's sunny. Let's go do something outside. Oh my god, it's warm. Finally, I can put out my spring jacket instead of my leather. I mean, instead of my winter jacket. You know, all those things. And also, if you're like having an awkward silence in the Netherlands with someone, what really works is to talk about weather. Like when I was an au pair, which was the first time that I lived in the Netherlands, when I came for the first time, was because I was an au pair. I sometimes didn't have anything to talk with the family when there were no kids around, and there was like having an awkward, you know, there was like an awkward silence, so I felt like the need to break the silence. And I was like, so it's really sunny today, so it's really windy today, you know. So talk about the weather. Talking about the weather is something that I definitely didn't do before I lived in the Netherlands, and now it's something that I do so much. And the weather is something that influences my mood so much. Like me personally, I get into the winter depression and the summer high, you know, maybe because I actually come from a sunny place, but I don't know. I've heard some people who are actually Dutch and have lived here their whole life also have like the winter depression. But I know that weather is something that a lot of people talk about, and hey, I joined to the club. I talk about weather a lot. Okay, and now that we're talking about weather, the second thing that I started to do once I lived in the Netherlands was owning different coats for the weather. Like as I said, I come from Mexico, from Cancun, and there of course I had coats, you know. I had like a sweater for school, you know, the air coat. We had air coats in the classroom, so it was like maybe sometimes really cold, freezing, and I have like sweaters, and I had one leather coat, which was not really leather coat, you know, it was just look-alike leather coat, and that was it. Of course, if I would go to holiday to a colder place, I would have a coat which was like for colder weather, but I never went on a holiday to really cold places. And even if I went to cold places, I never really went to in the cold season, so it was not like I had a really thick coat. So when I was gonna go for the first time, I knew, okay, I need like a thick coat for the winter. But the thick coat that I brought with me was not really thick enough for like winter for the Netherlands, and soon enough I realized that you need coats for like the winter, and you need coats for the fall, and you need coats for the spring, and you need coats for the summer. So now I have like a full closet full of coats, you know, you name it, leather coats, winter coats, denim coats, you know, coats of different colors. And now I feel that the most important thing is to have a nice looking coat, because in the Netherlands you're gonna end up wearing your coat almost all year long, like literally even in the spring. Even in the summer, there's like, it gets chilly at night and you may need like a denim jacket or like a nice sweater. So obviously the coat is a statement piece that you need to look good. So yeah, that's the second thing that I started doing when I moved to Netherlands. Realize that I need different coats for different seasons. And that also makes sense because I never really had seasons. In Cancun it's always warm, as I've said like 1,000 times during this video. So yeah, that was the second thing that I learned ever since I moved to the Netherlands. The third thing that I started doing ever since I moved to the Netherlands, it's once again related to the weather. As you can see, the weather is a big deal for me and my life in the Netherlands, or I actually could say for everyone in the Netherlands. But well, the third thing that I started doing when I moved to the Netherlands was putting my clothes away for the season. Once again, we are talking about seasons and the way people dress. So when I first came, I didn't have enough clothes, like, you know, for the spring or the summer. You know, I just had clothes and I thought that I could wear them all year long. Well, soon enough I realized that, you know, when it's spring, you just want to wear like thinner shirts and like colorful colors and, you know, just spring and summer clothes. And of course this counts for the whole world, you know, spring collection, summer collection. But what I mean is like the thickness of the fabric, and if it's long sleeves or short sleeves, if it's sweaters, you know, those things. So now what I do is that when it starts to get colder, like actually colder, like the fall, I put all my summer and spring clothes away into a closet, and I put the clothes that I'm gonna be wearing for the next 5 months out. And yeah, this is something that in Mexico, at least in my family in Cancun, where I come from, we don't do this because we don't need to have different clothes for different seasons. Of course, we go shopping like everyone does in the world and we buy newer clothes, but it's not because we need to cover ourselves more for these seasons, for this weather. So definitely something that I had to get used to, but now it's one of my favorite things to, when it's actually summer again, it's like, oh, I'm gonna put out or spring my clothes that I have been, you know, in the closet, laying somewhere gone, and now I'm gonna put them out and see them. And of course I'm gonna cleanse my closet. It's like, this I don't need anymore, this I do need. And well, that's actually something that I enjoy a lot. So yeah, that was number 3. The fourth thing that I started doing ever since I came to the Netherlands is eating potatoes. In any way, not only fries, but potatoes in general. When I lived in Mexico, I was a very picky eater, very unhealthy eater actually, and I barely ate any vegetables. I don't even know if potato could be actually considered a vegetable. Even if it's a vegetable that has a lot of calories. Anyway, I used to never ever eat potatoes in Mexico, like ever. So only in fries maybe, you know, in McDonald's, but Mexico is not a country where you would say, fries are so delicious. No, I mean, Mexican cuisine and snack food, I mean street food, is known to be different than potatoes. And well, since the first time that I ever moved to the Netherlands was to be an au pair, therefore living with a Dutch family, I had to eat potatoes because they ate potatoes a lot. As you Dutchies know, if you're watching, you guys eat a lot of potatoes. And if you are not a Dutch person but you live in the Netherlands, you know this as well. And if you're just someone who has nothing to do with the Netherlands, well, now you know that in the Netherlands, every like Dutch meal, like typical Dutch meal, has potatoes. You know, cooked potatoes, boiled potatoes, smashed potatoes. So I definitely started eating potatoes, and for me it was like really hard in the beginning because I didn't really like the texture, and it was hard to see, okay, this potato I like, but this one I don't like. And you guys have so different types of potatoes, like so many different types in the grocery stores, you know. You have like the potatoes that are for boiling, the potatoes that are for cooking, the potatoes that are for this, for that, you know. So I didn't know that you had so many types of potatoes. I didn't even know that there existed so many types of potatoes. Maybe in Mexico it's the same way, but since I never ate potatoes in Mexico, then I don't know. But definitely eating potatoes and eating fries is something that I started doing ever since I moved to the Netherlands. And I think that this happens to a lot of people. I mean, if you're in the Netherlands, you're gonna end up eating fries. The fifth thing that I started doing since I moved to the Netherlands is own a bike. I didn't have a bike in Mexico because I never learned how to ride a bike when I was a kid. I mean, I did have a bike when I was a kid, but it was a kid's bike, you know. When I outgrew the bike, it was not my interest to have a new bike, so I never got a new one. And here in the Netherlands, it's like one of the first things that you do when you arrive. You have to have a bike because, you know, it makes your life easier. And while we're speaking of bikes, so also one of the things that I started doing ever since I moved to the Netherlands is learn to ride a bike. Because I didn't learn when I was a kid to ride a bike. Although I did have a bike and I outgrew my bike had always, you know, the little safety wheels next to it. So I didn't really learn. So, but now I learned, now I know how to ride a bike. Even though I don't feel so confident about it, I do know how to do it. The next thing that I started doing ever since I moved to the Netherlands is really not care about the weather. A little bit contradictory to what I just said in the beginning, but I mean specifically do not care about the rain. In Cancun, when it rains, you know, the city goes to sleep, you know, we just chill. And of course, if you have to work, you go to work. If you have to go to school, you go to school. But if you really don't have to go anywhere, then you just stay home, you know? It's just not like you're gonna make plans with your friends because it's raining. So you just don't make any plans, you know? You just stay home or whatever. But if I would do that in the Netherlands, then I would never ever leave my house because it rains a lot. Although I have to say, with the years, every year that I'm here, it's like I see less rain. So climate change is real. Anyway, that's off topic, but yeah, so now I really don't allow the weather to influence if I go out or not. Although many times during the winter or the colder months, I do feel like I don't want to go anywhere. It's just dark, it's wet, or it's cold, or it's windy, you know, I just want to stay home, you know, I just force myself and I go, and that's just how it works here. And it would never work like that it would never work if I would just behave as I do when in Mexico, because then I would never do anything. And the last thing that I want to mention for now that I started doing ever since I came to the Netherlands is to learn how to dress. And no, I am not talking about fashion sense, because my fashion sense has always been on point. No, I mean, I'm joking, but I did win a fashionista award when I was in high school, just saying. But what I mean is like dressing properly for the weather. I feel like this video should be called things that I started to do in the Netherlands when it comes to the weather, or how the weather changed my life. But okay, what I mean to say is that when I first came, I didn't know, I mean, yeah, of course, I had a coat, okay, but I didn't know, okay, like my neck has to be covered with like a shawl, and my gloves, and my feet, it's super important that my feet are warm, you know. And actually the one who taught me slowly how to dress properly for the cold weather is my boyfriend. And now I'm always packed, like fully packed, and I feel like my clothes, like if you see me on the streets during the winter or the colder months, I look so horrible because I'm like a snowman who's perfectly packed for all the weather, you know. And in the beginning I was always freezing, always there was some naked part of my body, not fully naked, you know, but like exposed, and then I was always cold no matter if I had a coat or not. Another thing that I started doing ever since I moved to the Netherlands is speak or talk freely about drugs. And look, weed in Mexico, it's obviously illegal, as are other drugs. In the Netherlands, weed, obviously, it's legal. And other drugs are not like legal, but you know, they're more allowed than in other countries. And well, obviously, when I lived in Mexico, I didn't talk about drugs with my parents. Also because I was younger, as I said, I was 18 the first time that I moved to the Netherlands. And so yeah, I didn't have like the comfort or the freedom to talk about drugs with my parents, even if it was just weed. Even though I had smoked weed in Mexico, I didn't tell my parents. It was just such, you know, it's really illegal. So if you're caught smoking weed, you go to jail. That's the point of the story. So, you know, I always felt like really nervous and anxious about the topic. But of course, since in the Netherlands this is something legal and something totally normal, then like my brain forgets that in Mexico it's not normal. So now I talk about weed with my parents a lot, you know, and they still act like a little bit shocked because it's not normal over there, but it has become so normal for me here, you know. And so okay, next thing I could add to this point, another thing that I started doing ever since I moved to Netherlands is buying weed. I don't smoke weed. I mean, of course, I tried weed, but I don't like the weed. I mean, I don't like weed, period. I don't like the smell. I don't like the taste, and I also don't like the effect that it has on me. Maybe I don't do it right, but it doesn't have a nice effect on me, and therefore I don't do it. But I have been inside a coffee shop buying weed, and yeah, that's something that I could never say in Mexico. I could never be able to buy weed in Mexico because you need to know to have a dealer and know someone. And in the Netherlands, the fact that I can say I bought weed is something like really funny for me because it's just so unlike me. I'm really curious, if you're new to the Netherlands, what things did you started doing ever since you moved to the Netherlands that you didn't do back in your country? Wait, I forgot. Another thing that I do ever since I moved to the Netherlands that I didn't do before is drink tea and drink coffee. The Netherlands is such a coffee and tea drinking country. In Mexico, I really never drank coffee or tea before. Tea because, as I said, it was too warm, and I am the type of person that if I drink something warm, when it's warm, I'm just gonna sweat everywhere, so I avoided that. And coffee, I just was never really interested. But here, since it's so strong in the culture, I started drinking coffee, and for a lot of years I drank coffee cappuccino, but I never really learned how to drink my coffee without sugar, so I found myself adding a lot of sugar to my cappuccino, which already has a lot of calories. So I decided to stop drinking coffee, and now I only drink tea without sugar. And I also started drinking tea with sugar and now without sugar, so I'm like a tea lover now. Yeah. Another thing that I started doing ever since I lived in the Netherlands is go to the IKEA. And basically because in Mexico we don't have an IKEA, or maybe we do have one in Mexico City now, but at least not where I come from. We have Home Depot, which is kind of similar, but no, it's not like in the Netherlands. It's the experience of going to IKEA, you know, and going for breakfast there, or maybe going for lunch because it's extremely cheap, and just going to see all the showrooms. And I feel like Dutch people are very, like, they just go to the IKEA for fun, you know, and it's like a day out. And for me, it also became like a day out, and now I'm obsessed with watching decoration stuff or furniture, even though I don't buy them, you know. I just want to watch them. And I mean, I would never for fun in Mexico go to a furniture store, and here's like for fun I want to go to a furniture store. So it's really weird. Maybe it's also me getting older. Guys, that's the video for today. I'm really curious if you're also have some things that you started doing ever since you moved to the Netherlands or to another country, because we adapt to the circumstances of the countries where we live in, and we change as people. So yeah, I'm really curious if you are someone living abroad. Let me know in the comments things that you started to do differently ever since you moved to that country, wherever you are living now. And if you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. And as I always say, I wish you the best of luck today, tomorrow, and every day. Bye!